more news then that kind of came out based on schedules. The Browns, and a lot of people freaking out about this, and I mean I don't love it, but they have the 2024 strength of schedule. The Browns have the toughest strength of schedule based on 2023 win percentages. Their opponents won 54, basically 55% of their games last year. The Ravens are second at essentially 54%. And then the Steelers are at 53%. So there's no, I mean, obviously the three of those teams are up there because we all played in the same division and we all play each other twice. But what I will say about this, and I didn't get to do a ton of research. I was actually busy at work today, which was annoying. That's stupid. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's not what it seems like it is, because I went back. First, the league turns itself over. Half the league turns over every year.
Yes.
Okay. So I went back and looked. Last year, the Browns had the 26th ranked strength of schedule entering the season, and we saw how that played out.
Right.
Like
with five quarterbacks.
Yes. At one point, the Browns had played like 12 teams or something that were in the playoffs or leading, that's right. And they played every division leader, and they were supposed to have the 26th ranked schedule. They had a fourth place schedule last year. And it was 26th coming into the season. The Eagles had the toughest strength of schedule last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they basically play a high school schedule the first month and a half of the season?
They won a lot of games.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't play anybody like over 500 for a while. It seemed like, unless I'm misremembering. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but there's so much player movement in the NFL that using last year's win percentages to determine strength of schedule, it's basically a crapshoot.
We talked about it too. We feel like there's always one team that was a bottom feeder in their division that ends up coming up and making the playoffs. And then there's always a team that you would just be like, that's a shoo-in for a playoff spot that disappoints, whether it's because of injury and stuff like that. Like if you look at the opponents, there's some heavy hitters on there. Like at home, for our home games, I'm seeing Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Dolphins, Ravens, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. There's some heavy hitters there. There's some good
everybody
teams.
But the Giants.
Correct, everybody but the Giants. And then even the away games, Philly's there. I mean,
actually, we're kind of making out okay. Now I'm just glancing over here at if we're going to play worse away from Cleveland, this is actually okay because we get to go play Denver and Las Vegas, and Washington,
Saints,
Jacksonville, the Saints. Yeah, actually, the Bengals, we always beat them, so kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pull up all of our opponents. So I'm pretty sure it's statistically accurate that half of the playoff teams one year don't make the playoffs the next year. So you have to think that all these, the heavy hitters you're saying, half of them are not going to be heavy hitters this year, at least statistically and historically speaking.
Right.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like on paper right now, we think, holy crap, this is tough. But last year we thought, holy crap, this Bears game is going to be a shoo-in. And then by the time we played them, they had turned into one of the best defenses in the league, the last month and a half of the season. And
we did outscore them 17-3. I mean, legitimately, but I get what you're saying.
That's fair.
I mean, but it wasn't a cakewalk. We didn't look that good.
No, that's because our offense was.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, who else did we play last year that was Denver? Mm-hmm. We played them in the middle of their 5-game win streak.
They punched us in the mouth.
You know what I mean? Like, so there's so much.
We were pumped for that game early on.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, like, if I'm looking at these teams that I think have the potential to fall off this year, I would think, New York is probably not going to be very good. You wouldn't think.
Right.
I could see the Dolphins potential. You don't want to think so, but every year they start hot.
What if we play them in December?
Yeah.
In Cleveland.
You know
it's in Cleveland.
You got to think Denver is going to be cheeks.
You would think so, but
look at just based on their quarterback room. I just don't understand how they're going to be good. I don't imagine Washington's going to be very good this year. I don't think it's crazy to think that Philly falls off this year.
That's fair.
They kind of fell off last year.
Yeah.
Started to.
You know what I mean? Like they're definitely missing Ben Johnson. So they got some work to do. I wouldn't be shocked like a team like the Jaguars. You know what I mean? Like they faltered way. So, like there's teams on here that, I mean, statistically speaking, we could fall off. We could be one of these teams that made the playoffs.
We're healthy. I think that we said it last year. We can go toe to toe with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think so, but statistics and history are on our side.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? So like there's other local podcasts. There's a Kansas City Chiefs podcast out there going, oh, the Browns are going to be one of those teams that fall off this year. They're not gonna, you know what I mean? So
and we got to play the Browns. And so just go ahead and mark that one in the win column.
So, yes, I would love it if we just knew that we were going to have a cakewalk schedule, but it's the NFL. There isn't really a such thing as a cakewalk schedule most of the time.
Right.
Sometimes you'll get like the Eagles, their Super Bowl year. I think their first like 10 opponents were under 500 or something crazy. Like sometimes you might get lucky. But for the most part, like there's going to be a part of your season where you're going through a gauntlet.
Yeah. Let's just see what the schedule, how it plays out, because some of these games that we're like maybe nervous about, or we think maybe could be an easy win or loss. If you've got to play Kansas City, Baltimore, Miami, and then like, let's say the Chargers and then Philly, like all 5 weeks in a row, that's a gauntlet. That could be rough. You know what I mean?
Who do the Chargers have right now though?
I mean, I think all the optimism for them is around Jim Harbaugh, the defense and the ground and pound game that they're going to start.
I get that, but I guess what's kind of been their identity the last years or so has been like the explosive offense with Justin Herbert, and they don't have anybody to throw to.
No, it's going to be completely different.
They got Lad McConkey, but I mean, he's a rookie. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they don't have. I mean who's their number one? It's
Jim Harbaugh and Greg
Roman.
We know what offense is going to look like out there in Los Angeles.
Got Joshua Palmer. I mean, he's been like. I mean, dependable in moments.
They arguably have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in football.
No. Look at Baltimore's.
No, I'd say one of the worst.
One of the
least.
Yes.
I mean, the Josh Palmer's got to be their one. Their number two now is probably going to be
Quentin Johnson.
He sucks.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, and I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach.
Yeah.
And if he might be able to turn it around in a year, we'll see. But I mean, sometimes it takes more than 1 year.
It could be shaky, and I'm same with like the Jags,
especially if we play them early.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to run the hell out of the ball.
It'll be interesting to see what. And by the time you guys are watching or listening to this, maybe the schedule's already out, or it's just a couple hours till it comes out. But we'll give you our reactions to that too when it comes out.
Do you think they run the ball? Like, are they going to be a 70-30? I mean, you have Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
I think they're still going to throw. It'll be
yeah.
Dude, 50-50 right now in the NFL is run heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. There's some interesting opponents. I do like what you guys said. If we're going to play the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, and the Dolphins, at least we get to play all those guys at home.
At home, yes.
You know what I mean? Our road games are Denver, Washington, Vegas.
Rookie quarterback.
The Saints. You know what I mean? So we caught a couple breaks in terms of home and away opponents. It might be statistically tough right now, but I think we caught a break in that regard.